What on earth is going on with my hair? I swear, it's pointless to do your hair in Florida. It lasts, well, till you walk out the door. Anyway, it is another episode of But I Know I Love You. And, for those of you who have commented that you're enjoying the book, I am so glad that you're enjoying it. So, here's the next episode. Bye! Well, I'll see you at the end.
Baby on board. Once we were together for good, Camre and I settled into a routine. She continued at her job as a service rep for a phone company, and I continued to replace windshields for Safelite. We were a pretty typical couple, I think. We were involved with our friends and families, and while we always knew that we wanted to have a family of our own, we weren't in a great hurry. We were content to be a couple and to build our relationship. Looking back, I'm glad that we had that time together. As I said, Camre can't remember events, but she does relate to emotions, and she knows that we were very much in love. And we were. A couple of years into our relationship, we decided to take a winter vacation to Florida. Winters in Michigan can be brutal. By February, we were both needing some warm sunshine. We splurged to stay at a resort hotel right on the beach in Clearwater. Although it wasn't our honeymoon, we didn't get married for a couple more years. It was the perfect honeymoon location. Blue sky, turquoise water, white sand beach. I'm not exaggerating when I say it was a picture-perfect spot. At first, we had a room with a partial view of the ocean, but when the plumbing backed up, we got upgraded to a full ocean view with a balcony. For the next couple of days, we hung out in blue cabana chairs, alternating between the beach and the pool. We ate great food, enjoyed the sunshine, walked the beach, and collected seashells. It was one of the most special times in our relationship, and it is one of the greatest sadnesses of our life that Camre doesn't remember anything about it. Once Camre suffered the brain injury, it was like someone took an eraser to her entire memory. She doesn't remember anything about her own growing up, her childhood, her teen years. Everything before the brain injury is completely gone. Now, years later, she has some partial memory for things that happened after the injury, as long as she's been told it over and over. That's why she finally knows my name and Gavin's name. One thing she can seem to remember is numbers. For instance, later in our relationship, we took a family vacation to Hawaii. If I asked her about our time there, she can tell me what room we stayed in, 17G, but she doesn't remember anything about the place or what we did. It's one of those odd things about the brain. Rote memories, things that Camre has been told over and over, go into a different location that wasn't affected by the injury. In addition, some things like numbers are stored in a different place as well. But regular memory, like what she ate for dinner last night, still doesn't encode. This brain glitch is one of the most frustrating things for both of us. Sometimes when she doesn't think I'm watching, I catch her looking so sad it makes my heart break. I try to just tell her that it doesn't matter that she can't remember. What matters is that we are a family and that we love each other, but I know that it bothers her. As she slowly regains some ability to create new memories, the realization that some things are lost forever becomes even more difficult for her. But I've said she is the strongest person I know, and she is. Once we came across a sign that read, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." I have a picture of Camre in a bright pink striped top pointing up to the sign and smiling that amazing smile. Camre knows she doesn't know and remembers she can't remember, but yet she smiles. When we were on vacation in Florida, what we had always talked about happening happened. We got pregnant. Of course, we didn't know that we were going to become parents right then, but when we look back, we realize it couldn't have been more perfect. We were in a fantastic place, we were deeply in love, and we both absolutely wanted to have a child. Camry knew that she was pregnant before she told me because she started feeling queasy and nauseated in the morning. Like a lot of guys, I was pretty oblivious to it all because we hadn't actually been trying to have a baby. We took a chance one night on vacation when, well, the rest is history. There's an old saying, man proposes, but God disposes. That's true for us. We hadn't planned to have a baby right then, but God and Gavin had different ideas. Maybe that's too much information. Camry tells me that sometimes I share too much, but that's just me. Anyway, when we came back from vacation, little did we know that we had begun the most dramatic roller coaster of our lives. The day I found out we were going to be parents started out like any other day. Camry has suspected something, but she hadn't mentioned anything to me. She had the day off. She called me at work, and she said she had something to share with me when I got home. I said I was sort of, okay about it all. I should have known that something was up, but I just figured she was going to tell me that she got a new coffee maker or something. When I got home, she pointed to the counter. One of those pregnancy test strips was lying there with a pink band showing. I picked it up and looked at it. What does that mean? I asked, like the proverbial idiot. She gave me one of those looks. We're going to have a baby? Her radiant smile told me all I needed to know. After I hugged her and we twirled around the kitchen in a happy daze, I stopped and asked what I now realize was a foreshadowing question. How are you feeling? I was reassured when she said that other than morning sickness, she was feeling fine. The odd thing is that she really did feel fine during the first 2 trimesters of her pregnancy. Camry shared the news with her mom, and then I called my mom. Hey, are you sitting down? Yes, she sounded wary. Camry and I are going to have a baby. You're kidding. Nope, you are going to be a grandma again. That's wonderful. The joy in her voice made me excited all over again. Me, a dad. It was something I'd always wanted, but now it was really happening. Camry and I both knew we wanted to know the sex of the baby as soon as we could, but we had to wait a couple of months until Camry was far enough along to take an ultrasound. As we waited those weeks, I thought about what it would be like to be a dad to a little girl who was a mini-me to her mom. I imagined reading to her and watching princess movies with her. Then I thought about being a dad to a little boy who looked like me and who would share my love of sports and the outdoors. Finally, I realized that I could read and watch movies with a son and share sports and the outdoors with a daughter. I suddenly didn't care what we had as long as the baby was healthy. It was a June day when we went for the ultrasound appointment. I didn't think I was going to be anxious, but I was more nervous than I expected as the technician rubbed the wand over Camry's belly. The image that appeared on the screen just looked like swirls and blobs, but it all meant something to the technician because she asked if we wanted to know the sex. I peered at the screen, but I couldn't see anything that indicated either a boy or a girl. Camry and I said that we wanted to know, but not right away, so the technician wrote something on a piece of paper, slipped it and the ultrasound image into an envelope, and handed it to us with a broad smile. I carried that envelope like it was made of gold as we left the clinic and crossed the parking lot to our truck. When we got in, we looked at the envelope and then we looked at each other. Do you want to wait and have one of those gender reveal parties? I asked. Camry shook her head. No, I want it to be private time with just the 2 of us. Shall we look now? We both stared at the envelope and I handed it to Camry. She opened it and pulled out the paper the technician had inserted with the sonogram image. Broad scrawling letters announced, "It's a boy," with a smiley face beneath. I yelled, "A boy! It's a boy!" I thought my heart would burst out of my chest. I had never been happier in my life. Now, the fact that we were pregnant was undeniable. I had seen a picture of our child, our baby, our son. Nothing prepared me for the rush of feelings that overtook me. Camre was crying, and I started crying too. I was going to be a dad. Actually, I was a dad. I just hadn't met my son yet. When we called our families, they were delighted for us. I think my mom secretly would have liked for us to have had a little girl since she already had 4 grandsons, but she's never let on. She just said how exciting it was that our son would have a whole pack of cousins to grow up with. Camre's family, on the other hand, had only daughters, so a grandson was an unexpected delight. I'm not sure that her dad actually believed that Gavin was going to be a boy until he was born. It was one of the greatest blessings of our lives that our son is growing up in the midst of such loving and supportive grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Gavin was due in November. Because we knew the months would go by fast, we got busy putting together a nursery and preparing all those things that expectant parents have to plan. Now, at the time, even though Camre and I were fully committed to each other for life, we hadn't made our relationship formal with an engagement. I think one of the reasons I was reluctant was because my parents had divorced when I was a teen, and I knew that I never wanted to get a divorce. Once I got married, I wanted it to be for life. I realize that isn't exactly the best reason not to become engaged to the mother of my son, but it's the reality. Some of my own fears meant I was a little slow in getting around to ask Camre to marry me. To her credit, she never pushed me, but shortly after we found out that we were going to have a baby, I decided to put a ring on it. Deep down, I knew that we were in it for the long haul, but I also knew that I didn't want to become a parent without a formal commitment, and neither did Camre. One day, without telling Camre, I went ring shopping. I knew what kind of jewelry she liked, but I also wanted it to be a surprise. I finally settled on a single solitaire diamond with smaller diamonds on each side and a matching wedding band. I had asked her father for her hand in marriage sometime earlier, so he knew that the proposal was coming, but I kept the ring hidden for a couple of months. I guess I was just waiting for the right time. Actually, I wanted the engagement to be memorable, which is ironic since Camre can't remember any of it. I finally decided that the 4th of July would be ideal. Each year there is a huge fireworks show over the lake where we live. I thought that the proposal by fireworks would be pretty cool. We owned a pontoon boat, so I decorated it with handmade signs that said "Love Boat." That evening I told Camre that I wanted to watch the fireworks from the water. When she saw the "Love Boat" signs, she made some remark, but I just passed them off as a fun idea I had. We floated out to the middle of the lake where we could look back at our house with its dock and fire pit. I've been partial to fire pits ever since that first night Camre and I met, so I made sure our house had a big one by the lakeshore. And across to the houses on the other side. I have a picture I took when we were out on the water, waiting for the show to begin. Camre is wearing a blue and white top, and her baby bump was just starting to show. Her hair is blowing in the breeze, and she has a huge smile on her face. But even though we didn't know there was anything wrong at the time, there's something in her eyes that hints at the trouble to come. She looks a little distant, a little drawn, but at the time the pregnancy was going great, so we weren't worried. The first fireworks lit up the sky. I pointed to them to get Camre to turn and face away from me. Once she did, I pulled out the ring box, got down on one knee, and said, "Hey, Cam, look over here." She turned around and her mouth opened in complete surprise. "Will you marry me?" I asked and held out the ring. She nodded, whispered yes, and began crying. I slipped the ring on her finger just as another round of fireworks went off. She tells me that I have a romantic streak, and I guess I do, but proposing on a Michigan lake in the middle of fireworks seemed pretty darn perfect to me. We let our family and friends know, and for the next few weeks neither of us could have been happier. I know that somehow I was meant to go to that restaurant and meet Camre, but shortly after we got engaged, something else happened that still gives me chills. Before it will make sense, I have to back up a little. I grew up in the Lutheran church, almost literally grew up in the church because my grandparents lived across the street from it and my grandfather helped build the church building. My parents were married there and we went to services every Sunday and Wednesday. As I got older, I drifted away. I never gave up my faith, but it just wasn't all that important to me. It's hard for me to admit it, but I was more concerned about friends and work than I was about going to church. God just wasn't all that important to me at the time. I figured I could handle life on my own and didn't really feel the need to ask God for help, but with a baby on the way, I'd been doing some soul searching and evaluating my whole life. Getting engaged made it even more imperative. I wondered if we could handle all the expenses of raising a child, and I worried that despite my desire to be a dad, if I was really going to be a good father and husband. Then something happened that changed my outlook. I had just finished a big job at a customer's house. I was writing up some paperwork when a lady comes running out of the house and up to my rig. I immediately thought there was something wrong or they had a complaint. I rolled down my window, but before I could say a word, she asked, "Do you believe in God?" I thought it was an odd question, and I wondered if she was going to hand me a card with some scripture verse, but I said, "Yes, absolutely." She then said, "I want you to know that I get these visions and God speaks to me." I immediately began thinking, uh-oh, now what? She continued, "I had a vision that you have a fiancée and she's pregnant." Right there, my jaw hit the floor. I said, "How do you know that?" "God showed me a picture in my mind of your family. I just want to let you know that everything is going to work out fine. You are a strong man. You have a beautiful family. Now, I know that one of your main concerns is how you're going to support this child. You're wondering how you are going to do all of this. You're worried if you're going to be a good father. A lot of things are going through your head right now. Don't worry. You're going to be a great dad. You're going to be able to handle whatever happens. Don't worry. Everything is going to work out. You guys are going to be financially okay. You're going to be great parents. You guys are going to be okay." I didn't know what to say. I just sat there thinking, I don't even know this lady and she's telling me my future. She reassured me again that things were going to work out before she walked back into the house. I stayed in my rig, pretending to complete the paperwork, but I was really just trying to absorb all that had just happened. There I was, just doing my job, and some lady tells me that she had a vision about me and Camre. The next thing I did was call my mom. She confirmed my feeling that this was really a sign from God. That was the start. That was when I began rebuilding my connection with God. With everything that has happened to us, I often think about what that woman had said before we knew anything was wrong and how she reassured me that everything was going to work out. Knowing this has become my rock. When things got really hard, and they did, I would say to Camre, everything is going to be okay. Even now, when she can't remember that I ever told her about the woman with the vision, I say the same thing. It's all going to work out. And it does.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. Enjoy the rest of your day, too. We love you. Okay, till next time. Bye!